We're gonna work. Let's put this thing together. Hi, everybody. Isn't that cute? Hey everybody. Okay, so this is a how-to video for those who were unfortunately not able to attend the conference, but you did receive a kit for your waterfall photo portfolio. Okay, so what I'm going to do in this video is kind of walk you through how to put together your portfolio from A to Z. Okay, so let's go through what you have in your kits. So first and foremost, you're going to have a supply sheet, and the supply sheet lays out everything that you should have in your kit, including the tools that you'll need to put it together. So you should have everything you need. Okay, so first and foremost, you're going to have two bases that are kind of wrapped in this plastic wrapping. Now, the first base you're going to have is your large base, which is an 8.5 by 12 cardstock base. And then you're going to have a 6 1/4 by 9 3/4 cardstock base. All right. After that, you're going to have 3 pieces of chipboard. 2 of them are going to be 4.5 by 6.5. And then you're also going to have one that's 3/4 of an inch by 6.5. Okay. After that, you're going to have a decorative edge pocket that has some tape on the sides here. And then you are going to have some scored waterfall panels. And you'll know that they're the waterfall panels because they'll have, I'll show you, a score line in there as well as a piece of score tape across the top. So you should have 4 of those. And those measure 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. But then you'll also have one more sheet that has the same measurements, that 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. But there's no score line, there's no score tape. It's just a plain sheet of cardstock. All right. After that, you'll have 4 sheets of decorative cardstock. You'll have 4 purple and gold, and 4 white and gold. Then you'll have one more that's slightly larger than the rest, and it's got gold diagonal lines in it that measures 4 by 4.5. Then you're going to have the funnest part of the kit, which is your Selfie Queen sticker sheet. You'll have the Selfie Queen sticker that's going to go on the front of your book, as well as some other decorative sheets that'll go, you know, wherever you'd like in your portfolio. Then you'll also have a smaller sticker sheet with a couple of hashtags on there. Okay. And finally, for your tools, you're going to have a popsicle stick that you're going to use as your bone folder. So sophisticated, I know. But then you're also going to have a plastic PVC card that you'll use to smooth some things out. Some additional things you'll need that hopefully you have in your kit is a glue stick, or you just need some regular old craft glue or an ATG gun, whatever works for you. And then finally, you're going to need some scissors and a pencil or a pen of some type. Okay. All right. So now that we've gone over all the materials, let's go ahead and get started with our project. Before we jump into our project, I just wanted to pause and say one thing. As I'm putting together our book, you're going to notice that there are going to be small imperfections here and slip-ups there. And you know what? That's perfectly okay. Crafting is about fun, not perfection. If your project isn't spot on or exactly right, don't let that stop you from enjoying putting together your portfolio. This is really about fun. Jump into it and just enjoy it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out with our larger card base. This is the 8.5 by 12 card base. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to peel this clear sheet right off the top of this piece of paper. Okay. Once this comes off, you can just discard it. Then I'm going to take this whole sheet and I'm going to turn it over so that the white piece is facing up. And I'm going to take my white PVC card and I'm going to gently go over the backing of this sheet of cardstock. And the reason why we're doing this is because we've put this piece of cardstock through a large Xyron. So essentially this whole sheet of cardstock is going to be sticky when we take this back white piece off. So we're going to run over our card over the back to make sure that the adhesive is sticking nice and well to the back of our cardstock sheet. Okay, so once we're done with that, we're going to carefully peel the backing away from the cardstock. Now, it's important that you see how I do this, and notice that I'm taking the backing away from the cardstock and not the cardstock away from the backing. This will help and make sure that our cardstock stays nice and straight and there won't be any curling. Now, remember, I said this is like one big sticker, so you're going to want to be careful as you're removing this backing so that your cardstock doesn't stick to anything else. Okay, once you remove the backing, you can discard it. So now that we remove the backing from the cardstock, you're going to notice that there are 3 score lines in your cardstock. Okay, and these 3 score lines, you'll have one on the left, one on the right, and one on the bottom. So you're going to want to make sure that score line on the bottom is facing you or closest to you. Okay, now we're going to bring into play our 3 pieces of cardstock here, those 2 covers and our spine. And we're going to use the score lines as our guide. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my 4.5 by 6.5 pieces of chipboard. This is going to be the back cover or the front cover, however it turns out. And I'm going to use this corner right here and put my cardstock right over here, kind of corner to corner. And I'm going to line it up with the bottom score line here, get it nice and straight, make sure it's lined up with the score line on the side, and then I'm going to press it down. Okay, once that's down, I'm going to repeat the same step over on the left side, using this bottom score line and the left side score line, and just kind of bump this right into the corner there. Make sure it's lined up with each score line so it's nice and straight, and get it in there and press it down. All right, perfect. Okay, now we're going to bring in our spine, and we're going to put our spine right in the middle of these 2 pieces. Okay, and so there'll be a little space on the left, little space on the right, and we're going to again use that bottom score line as our guide. So I'm going to bump it right up against that bottom score line and put it nice and straight in between and press down. Okay, so you'll notice there's a little space here, a little space here, and it's okay if you don't get it totally perfect. This project is a little forgiving. You just want to make sure that you have that space in between those 2. So for this next step, we are going to get ready to miter the corners of our book here. And the reason why we miter the corners is so that when we close the flaps down, they meet together. It looks very professional, looks very polished, and you don't have a lot of overlap. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to need our PVC card and a pen or a pencil. Now, you might not be able to see this on camera, but you should be able to see it when you do it kind of up close and in person. Okay, so we're going to take our PVC card and we're going to lay it diagonally across our piece of chipboard. Then we're going to move it out just enough, and then just a touch more so that it's hanging over the chipboard just a little bit. You don't want it flush with the chipboard because that's too close. But you do want it hanging over just a little bit, not much, over that chipboard. And then you're going to draw a line, okay? And so you might not see my line there very well. Try to bring it a little closer and get it, but okay, there you go. You see my line there? That's what you're going to need. And you're going to repeat this step with each corner of your book. Okay, so once we've completed that step, we're going to take our scissors and we are going to cut on each of those diagonal lines that we drew. Just like that. And we're just going to cut it off. Once you've cut off this little triangle here, you can discard it. That's trash. after you've cut off your four corners, your cover is going to look like this. And now we can move on to the next step, which is closing our flaps. Okay, and so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to start creasing. You'll notice that I'm not pressing down. I'm just kind of pulling up the flaps on the top and the bottom, getting a nice crease in them, folding them against the chipboard. That's all we're doing there, okay? Once I kind of have them folded up and creased, what I'm gonna do then is nice and tightly fold them down and adhere them to the chipboard. Remember, we're doing top and bottom flaps first. That's how we'll do it. Okay, and this whole thing is sticky, so you don't have to worry about it. Just lay it down and adhere it and give it lots of good pressure so that it sticks down very well. So now that we've closed our top and our bottom flap, we're gonna close our left and right flaps, okay? And so same thing, just gonna pull up here to create a nice crease. And then I'm going to pull nice and tight and lay that down and adhere it down. Do the same thing on the other side. Pull it nice and tight, lay it down. Okay. Now that the flaps have been sealed down, we're going to go ahead and close our cover. And how we're going to do that is we're going to bring our white PVC card back into play. And I'm going to just use that, put that right in that space in between the spine and the right piece of chipboard, and fold that up very carefully. Now, what you'll notice that I'm doing is that I'm rubbing just a little bit with this card to make sure that our cover is sealed really well. I'm not sawing, I'm using gentle pressure so that we can get that cover nice and closed. Then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, get that in there and close it. Then I'm also going to take my finger and rub very well on the cardstock that's covering the chipboard spine. Okay, so now once I do that, I'll close my cover. I'll gently flex it a little bit, and you'll notice that your cover now will stay closed and be flat. So let's move on to the next step. So now I'm going to open my cover back up and I'm going to set it to the side. Then I'm going to bring in our 6 1/4 by 9 3/4 cardstock cover and do the same thing as we did for our larger base. First thing, take this clear cover right on off and we can discard that. Then we're going to turn it over, use our PVC card. Then, once again, we're going to remove the cover from the cardstock, not the cardstock from the cover. Now I'm going to bring our chipboard cover back into play, nice and open, and we're going to use this smaller piece of cardstock to cover the whole top of our chipboard cover. Now you can apply your cover from left or right, whichever's more comfortable for you. But when I lay this down, there's going to be a small exterior border all around my piece of cardstock, okay? So I'm going to get it on there, lay it down, and smooth it over. If it's not perfect, if it's not perfectly straight, that's okay. It's all black. It's a little forgiving. Nobody will be even able to tell. So I just want to lay that down and smooth that over just like that. Now I'm going to bring my PVC card back into play one more time, and we are going to carefully close the cover one more time by using our PVC card in those crevices and pressing down really well on our spine. Not using a lot of pressure. We just want to close that up, okay? Turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Not using a lot of pressure, not sawing in there, just applying gentle pressure. Once I do that, I'm going to close our cover again. Now we're going to flex it again. Okay, and then I'm also going to open it wide and flex it back just a little bit. And I'm using gentle pressure, gentle pressure. I don't want to break my spine. I don't want to break the paper, so I'm being very gentle with this. But when I do that, once again, our book closes and it lays flat. Okay? Perfect. Okay, so let's set that aside and move on to the next step. Now we're going to prepare our decorative pocket so we can put it in our book. You'll notice that the pocket has a nice edge to it, as well as 2 pieces of lined score tape. You'll also notice that there is a perforated line right here next to the score tape. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold right back on that perforated line and fold that piece right back so that your score tape is now facing the bottom of the pocket. Okay, you're going to do that for both pieces. Once you fold those back, you're going to bring your wooden stick into play and just kind of use that as a bone folder and rub along that perforated line and crease it. Get nice sharp creases. Okay, so this is what your pocket will look like from the top, and this is what your pocket looks like from the back. Okay, now let's bring our cover back in, and your pocket goes in this bottom left-hand corner just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove both pieces of score tape carefully. And then I'm going to take my pocket, and I don't want to go all the way to the edge. I want there to be a little bit of a border, a small border. So I'm going to go over towards the corner, and I'm going to just lay it down and press. And the score tape is really strong, so it ought to stick really nicely. And once you have that down, then you'll notice that now your pocket is in there, and you'll be able to stick whatever you like, either stickers or pictures or whatever you like inside this little pocket there. Okay, so I'm going to set my cover to the side, and I'm going to bring in my 4 waterfall panels. And remember, the waterfall panels are the 4 pieces of black cardstock that have a score line as well as score tape. All right, so how I'm going to prepare each of these waterfall panels is that I'm going to fold right on the score line. Okay, so we're just going to fold back, and then I'm going to use my wooden stick to crease on that score line. Okay, and so now my waterfall panel looks like this. All right, and so we're going to repeat that with the other 3. Now let's go ahead and get ready and apply our waterfall panels to the inside of our portfolio cover. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my portfolio cover 90 degrees. This is going to make it really easy for us to put our waterfall panels in. So I'm going to remove the lining from the score tape of one of my waterfall panels. Then I'm going to give myself just a little bit of room here at the top. I don't want to be flush to the top of the book. I want to give myself just a little bit of space. And I'm going to lay my first waterfall panel right down. Okay. Then I'm going to press to make sure it adheres. And then I'm going to open it up and press on the little flap. Waterfall panel 1 is down. Now we're going to apply our second waterfall panel. Okay, we're going to remove that lining again. And I'm going to use the bottom flap of our first waterfall panel as my guide. And I'm going to take our folded edge and bump it right up against the bottom of that flap. Try to get that nice and straight. Lay that down and press. Then I'm going to open it up and press on this little flap here to make sure it's down really well. And you'll notice now that when we close it, your waterfall panels are actually starting to create the waterfall. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with the 3rd and 4th panel to get those in the book as well. Again, using the bottom of that flap, we're going to line up this folded edge, bump it right up against the bottom of that flap, try to get it nice and straight. Lay that down and press. Open it up. Press on that flap again. Last one. Gonna remove that liner. Bump that folded edge right up against the bottom of that flap there. and press. Open it up and press. Okay, and so now we have a beautiful waterfall. Kind of cool. Okay, so now we're going to use our last piece of cardstock, black cardstock, the one that doesn't have any score lines or any score tape on it, to close off our waterfall panel here. We do this so that it looks nice and polished, and so that it doesn't, so you don't see this unfinished flap here at the bottom. So what you're going to need is your glue stick or an ATG gun or a little bit of double stick tape. I'm going to use my ATG here and just apply a little bit of adhesive on the back. And then I'm going to cover up this whole bottom flap here and lay that down. Press that down really well. All right. We are just about finished. The only thing that we have left to do now is the decorating. So the first piece of decorative paper that I'm going to apply to our waterfall panel is that larger 4 by 4.5 sheet of decorative paper, the one with the gold diagonal lines. And this one is sized just for this bottom one, and you'll notice that when you put this on here, you're going to have a nice little border, a nice little edge that goes all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my ATG and apply some adhesive on the back. A glue stick will work just fine. Double stick tape will work just fine. Regular glue will work just fine for this. Whatever you have, whatever you want to use. Gonna lay that right down on this panel here. There we go. Now that our finishing panel is complete, we can go ahead and get ready to apply the rest of our decorative paper. However you want to put your decorative paper on the rest of your panels is totally up to you. Have fun with it. Okay, so once we get finished applying our decorative paper, your waterfall panels are done. And now all that's left to do is have a little fun with your stickers. Of course, however you finish your book is totally up to you. You can use your stickers, not use your stickers, use other ones, put some washi tape in there, whatever you'd like. It's totally up to you. When you're done, throw some photos in there to create a nice little memory book for you or someone else if you plan on gifting this. And let me know how it comes out. Be sure to post on IG and tag me at Deshana so I can see how your project came out. For those of us who couldn't make it, I'm so sorry that you couldn't join us, but I do hope this video was helpful, and I hope you had a great time making this simple and easy waterfall portfolio. All right, see you guys next time.